I declare video games offensive. Because I'm YouTube. Now you might be wondering, yes, we are talking about video games are next on the chopping block. Now this whole idea with free speech, now if you're new to the channel, I'm a gaming channel. I make videos on video games. We'll probably edit that one out. I want to go into depth about free speech, YouTube, demonetization, and getting into the kind of the downward spiral that we certainly as a nation and even as YouTube a company is facing. In a day and age where being offended is tantamount to being assaulted or spewing hate speech, YouTube could easily and eventually, more than likely, put the hammer down on video games. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, why as a video content creator am I talking about free speech? I mean, it's just fantasy and games. I mean, come on. What's going on here? Well, I understand history. I understand how progression works. I understand how human tendency is. The human tendency is to centralize power, strip people of their liberty, and eventually being persecuted. I mean, we see that across the world today. I mean, if you think you can watch anything on the internet in China, go think again. So again, we see this sort of playing out and the dangers of it, and that's why advocating for free speech is very important. Now, I understand YouTube is their own company. However, they do top the line of being like, okay, create whatever you want. We're open for you to create whatever you want, but at the same time, well, you can't really. They're trying to play this teeter-totter sort of thingy, and it's not working. Why do I think it's going to happen to video games? Video games depict graphic violence. They depict many things that might be offensive to people. What about, you know, any World War II? Any video game dealing with World War II? What happens here? Yes, we'll have, you know, go back a number of years and you'll have Americans fighting the Japanese. Well, maybe some people will find that offensive. How dare you? Well, it's history. Or what about video games depicting Germans fighting Russians? I mean, come on. Are we not gonna allow that in a video game in the sense of demonetizing content creators who are, you know, promoting these sort of games or having these sort of games because they're two horrible people and they fought against each other and we can't do it because it's going to hurt someone's feelings. It happened in history. You can't get over it. You got to understand, humankind has always, you know, it's not just the day and age that America is now, you know, we are the worst scourge on earth. Humans have been, you know, fighting each other. There's been terrible things throughout history. No person is perfect. If you think any hero of yours is perfect, it's impossible. It is not true. Even games such as Age of Empires. Now, Age of Empires, it's been out for a long time. Old game that I used to love growing up. But they had in Age of Empires 3 Native Americans depicted in that, and of course they were being killed, and maybe they were killing other people. Like, is that going to be offensive? Is that going to hurt someone's? Is that hate speech? Is that going to be labeled as it because, oh, you know, we're killing these people in a virtual reality? Or even Grand Theft Auto GTA, where you have, you know, people, you can rob people, white person come up and shoot some black dude. I mean, is that going to be labeled as, oh, well, it's too offensive for the YouTube content creators, so we're going to ban it, demonetize it? And if you think that's not going to happen, think again, because for certain, YouTube is on that path. I mean, they just fired somebody for, you know, respectfully voicing his opinions, a Google employee. Now, if they were going to fire a Google employee, do you think they care about the content creator as much as their own employees? I would think not. Now, my thoughts on the basis of why all this is happening is ignorance and lack of education, of understanding what is going on in the world. Now, I want to read a quote from Jefferson. Oh my gosh, he was the hero. Jefferson was like the hero of all time 10 years ago, but now he's going to be like the scourge of the earth. And he says, if a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. The functionaries of every government have propensities to command at will the liberty and property of their constituents, i.e., centralization of power. There is no safe deposit for these but with the people themselves, nor can they be safe with them without information. Where the press is free and every man able to read, all is safe. So what he's saying here is that government seeks to control, and the only safe way to dethrone that or cast out the tyrants, you should say, is for a free press, free speech, for the people to stand up and say, no, this is not right. You know, kings, emperors, and tyrants have always sought to control people and their beliefs and their thoughts and their actions and their everything about them. Thus, the founders in America gave us the First Amendment. Now, these rights in the First Amendment emanate from a creator. Whether you believe it or not, it's actually a good thing that it does, because if they emanated from kings or tyrants or government, that means they can take them away. If they can grant your rights, if government can grant your rights, they can take them away. So these rights are inalienable. You know, they can't be taken away. If we do not hold to each person's rights to believe what they believe and speak what they wish to speak, then we are undermining the very fabric of our society. Now, of course, we know there's a limit to what we believe or what we speak. You know, you can't enact violence, you can't incite violence. So there's already court cases there, but for the vast majority of people, and for what they say, it is fine to speak it. Fine to speak the truth. Fine to speak your opinions. So my prediction is video games are on the next horizon as far as something that YouTube specifically, and maybe even other companies, go after. Don't confuse it with, oh, video games are already censored, you have to be a certain age. Well, I'm not talking about age requirements and for young people. I'm talking about ideas in the video games where you have something depicting, you know, a past world event, and YouTube sees it as, well, it's depicting this in maybe a bad light, and so we're going to demonetize it and call it, you know, racist, hate speech, hateful, what have you, and it hurts the content creator. Again, we see this. I don't think anyone's talking about the video game world, because for now it's a fantasy. Video games are about fantasy, having fun, make-believe. It's all that good stuff. So it hasn't come to that point yet, but I believe it will come to that point if YouTube certainly is on the same trajectory that they're going. So my question is, where does it stop? You know, how far do we go back in history? Well, first of all, it doesn't matter about race, color, or anything. People have been enslaving each other, fighting each other, killing each other. I mean, you go back even to the Romans. Everyone thinks they're the most perfect people on earth. It was utopia on earth, the Roman Republic. Yeah, if you weren't a part of the elite, it was terrible. They enslaved people, butchered thousands. I mean, where does it stop? I mean, you even go with the English and the Scots. What? White people fighting white people? Ah! The shame, the horror. See, it's not about race, it's not about color, it's about ideologies, it's about people's belief systems, it's about, you know, people want, the tendency of man is to control other people. You pick up a history book, and that is the tendency of man. So that is the thing we want to fight against, in the sense of, you know, free speech. And, you know, espousing the ideas written in our Constitution, thankfully, these ideas of free speech, freedom to assembly, etc., etc. So, again, all people are to blame. So you can't pick and choose, because we've all been there, every person indeed. So, yeah. So I want to end it on the idea of we need to get involved. You know, we need to fight for these ideas of free speech. Fight for the ideas of freedom and liberty, because if we don't, as history proves, things will not go so well, because one day maybe your belief system or your ideas will be upheld, but then in the next, whoever's in power, they could be not upheld. There's probably a better word for that. Anyways, I appreciate your watching. If you liked it, please give me your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what your ideas as far as maybe ways we could help YouTube so we won't get to this point, or even other companies, other things like that. And yeah, thanks for watching.